locations. These are some of the large refineries in the area. The main sources of pollution are primarily from the ship channel area, as well as down below we have the port industrial districts. Just because when a lot of the winds blow in from the Gulf, a lot of that pollution is carried over the Pasadena area. So that captures a lot of the pollution in the air from both locations. So this is just where the monitors are and sort of where sources of pollution are in the neighborhood.
Hey, Anthony, can you go back?
Yeah.
So see that monitor on Starkey?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his house. I was going to show you.
Oh, okay.
That's one of our monitoring also. He actually has one at his house as well.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Awesome. Yeah. So all of these are at people's homes, and yeah, they're named by the street that they're on, just so you can recognize them. So the first pollutant I'll cover is nitrogen dioxide. Again, this is again, all of these have really like technical names, but they're really pollution that's released primarily by either vehicles or by industries. And they levels also have 2022 data to compare to this to see, year to year, are the levels going higher or are they low? So it varies between 40 to around 35-ish parts per billion, which is still good because it's below the EPA standard. But then when you compare to 2022, it was much lower in 22. In 2022, it was between like 25 to 15-ish, even sometimes below 10. So even though it's still good that it's below the EPA standard, it's bad that year to year it's increasing.
And TCEQ here in Texas is the one that issues those permits. Sometimes, right, if it's a federal permit, sometimes the EPA does that as well, if it's a federal project or a federal land. But most of the stuff here in Texas is done through TCEQ, which is the Texas Department of, what is it? Environmental Quality, yeah. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to let y'all know, residents, we've gone before to TCEQ and made a difference just by going up there and complaining and letting them know this is what's happening in our neighborhoods, and they have to do something. Because the more you put them on notice, the more embarrassed they're going to be because they're not doing their jobs. We have to demand for them to do their jobs and protect us, because that's what they're there for.
And I say, guys, you can use this to get us. So this is our dashboard. It's new. It's a new thing. We're hoping to put up some more air monitors in Pasadena, spread out a little bit more. But this is a really good gauge of what's going on. There's going to be a park on the other side. One of those is my house that I have a monitor at. So we got to spread out. We're still looking for maybe a couple more spots here in the near future if anybody's interested in that. We're probably going to move some of these around. And like I said, our goal is to get to the point of we know what's polluting. Because you know what? It's not just the refineries. I mean, there's concrete batch plants out there that pollute as well. There's also pollution coming out of metal recyclers. There's also like paper mills. So it's not just refineries, there's other things out there that can affect you. And if you live close enough to them, they can affect you. Like that gentleman over there, he lives near a body shop and they're always painting. And that paint smell is always going to his house. And monitors registering something. But we're trying to like make change out of that. But it's like I said, it's working with the city and the local areas trying to make a difference. So sometimes it's not just as black and white as it seems. There's other things in the area that can also affect.
Agricultural fires.
That's another thing. Fires that happen, ITC, you guys have been through all that. Yes, ma'am.
So my mom's is the yellow dot, and I was noticing that it was spiked up the whole time, and she lives next to waste management.
Oh, waste management?
Yeah.
Like, is that like a landfill?
Yeah.
You guys have a landfill in your area?
Yeah.
I need to look that up.
Off of Burke.
Oh, really? Because for that, like usually, like near a landfill, methane is usually a big issue in those areas, and trying to pick that up is a little different type of air monitor. But then, of course, all the pollution produces particles, and that's probably what you guys are capturing in the area. We can take a look at that and see exactly what's in the area. I didn't know there was a landfill there. That's good to know. Any other questions? Everybody's cool? All right, at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Diamond, and she's going to work real quick on the action plan.
Okay guys, now that we know a little bit about what's in the air, we're going to come up with an action plan on how to have cleaner air for Pasadena. So these are just the kind of ideas that I'll jot down and how we can work together as a community to demand cleaner air. So I'll just kind of like write down y'all's suggestions on what we can do as a community. So, does anyone have any kind of ideas or suggestions?
Now with this QR code, we can do it every day and it'll give us live information.
Yes, so with the dashboard, it is live. And so when you check it, the data should be like up to date.
Do you think that that measures just as well as like on my phone I have Air One, an Air Now app. So do you think that that would be that this would be a better way to see it?
Maybe Anthony can answer that question.
Yeah, this the AirNow app gets it from government monitors, and usually government monitors, there are only a few of them, and they usually aren't near people's homes. You know, they have them very far away.
Right.
So if you live near one of these monitors, this can be a better resource just because it's closer to your home.
Maybe a suggestion could be like going to the city hall and demanding our council members do something about the air pollution. Is that something I could write down maybe that we're all in agreement in? Yeah. Okay.
Or what about like asking whose health has gotten affected, like a head count of that?
Oh, perfect.
Hey guys, so just so you know, May 6th, it's going to be over at San Jacinto College Central. That's going to be the Lyondell-Basell permit hearing. If you guys want to go, this is a great time for you to go and represent and share your I mean, it's not about going to complain, but you can also go ask questions on what's going on and why it smells a certain way or why you see these different color flares. Wherever y'all want to go, there's an opportunity for you to go ask these questions, but I will suggest, guys, that y'all do go and ask about how they're going to change their production and how it's going to affect you guys that live real close to them. That's really big to do. But like I said, if you guys are interested in having an air monitor in your house, just let us know. We can put you down on the list as somebody if you're interested in doing that. If you guys that have a monitor in your house, I know you have a monitor in your house, and so does the gentleman over there, we can actually do a report just for your house because you have that monitor there. So if you guys want us to do just a report, and we can go to your house and actually go step by step what we found, that's an option for you, that we can do for you as well. For everybody who has a monitor at their home. But if you guys are interested, you can let us know. Yes, sir.
Also, you can have the also meeting about this.
Yeah.
What is happening.
Yeah. There's city council. I mean, if you guys are having a problem specifically in your area and you guys want to go to city council and talk to them about what's going on, you can do that as well. If you guys ever have a problem, Anthony can print out a report for you. If there's ever like a big spike and it smells bad, let us know and we can print that out for you. And that way you can give that to the Harris County Pollution Control or TCEQ as a complaint saying, look, I got my scientific data. I ain't making it up. Here it is. So we can get that for you and try to help you out with that as well. Everybody cool? Good. Any other questions, preguntas? Everybody good? Yes, sir.
Also, 146 Old Road, there is an overpass that smells very bad of people. There is a plant right there.
146 over there in the port? In the port?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's when I go to the port. So 146 and there is the overpass.
Yeah. Actually,
When you go over there is the smell very bad
Yeah.
all the time.
believe it or not, one of the worst spots, and I'm trying to get into that area, if you know anybody who lives in that area, you know where the Deer Park Airport is at, or it's the Port Airport? Down by San Jacinto College Central, going that way. There's an airport there. That area has some of the highest concentrated pollution that we've seen before. And I would love to get to the bottom of it to see exactly what's causing it, but that's an area that I've always wanted to go into because I know some of our data shows that it's it's just very high PM readings and very high other readings that we're trying to get to the bottom of. That's one of the things we're looking at. So, but guys, look, like I said, we are a community. You guys live here, working together, we can accomplish a lot more. So, in putting up more monitors, trying to organize, trying to get together as a group, that's what we can do to work together. I know I know Pat has her group here in Pasadena Caring. She lives here locally, and they're always trying to get involved and trying to help the community out. So that's why we're all here working together to try to make a difference and trying to get the information out and trying to create some action. Okay. Any other questions? Everyone with us?
If you don't take action, nothing will happen. You'll just keep getting sick as the longer you live here.
All right, everybody cool? Look, we're going to hang around here, so if y'all want to come talk to us individually and ask us some personal questions, we'll be here to talk to y'all. But other than that, we have a group here, we call the Pasadena CAP. We meet 4 times a year, and if you guys want to be part of that group, you know, we meet and we set up plans and ideas. I know me and Pat were talking about doing a bike ride here in the area with some air monitors. We're going to do one actually in Deer Park in 5th Ward next weekend. We're going to do one of those bike rides. We'd love to organize something here in Pasadena as a group as well, something we're looking at doing, and you know, also trying to set up some other spots in the area that are needed, some representation, trying to organize. That's all the things we're trying to do. And like I said, without you, the residents, to support us and help us, there's not much we can do, but as a group, we can do a lot more. Okay? Everybody cool? We have your contact information. If you guys give us your email, we'll send you an email with the information and keep you updated on what's going on with that. Okay? And if anybody wants a copy of this report, we can email it to you as well. We have that for you too. Okay? Everybody good? All right. Thank you all so much. And we really appreciate it.
Yeah, okay.
So as the wind sort of blow the pollution over Pasadena, it takes time for it to sort of reach the air monitor, which is kind of the north part, the early morning rush hour, and that ends about 10 a.m.-ish. Then you have the second peak from a lot of traffic, which is the evening rush hour, which you see. It starts increasing about 3, 4, 5, and it goes all the way up to starts increasing around like 9-ish p.m. So these are the times that the amplitude is usually the highest. And that's kind of what we see across the board in other communities as well, is this, the rush hour peaks when you see the most pollution. The second pollutant that I'll cover is ozone. So this is, again, another fancy term, but it really just means smog. So when you're driving on the highway and you see downtown and it looks really hazy, that's basically what ozone is. It's caused when different types of chemicals react to the air. But one of the most important things is that it needs a lot of heat and sunlight. So you usually see ozone levels higher in summer months. So in December, January, they're usually lower, but then as the temperature gets warmer, as it gets sunnier, you see higher chemicals. So things like benzene, formaldehyde, butadiene, and a lot of these, almost half of these, come from industrial processes, more so than vehicles. And for VOCs, we see, this is where I sort of get into the bad news with regards to Pasadena, is that we have a lot of spikes that are above the acceptable level. And something that's interesting to note is that it happened around the freeze. So that's usually when we see industry sort of release a lot of pollution because they're shutting down because of the freeze or high temperatures or malfunctions that happen because of the temperature. We saw this almost in every single freeze in Houston. We see like these high peaks happen. You see them not only during freeze but also during hurricanes. So during Beryl, we saw a lot of these peaks as well. But so basically, anytime there's like a extreme storm, you see a lot of these peaks just because of industries flaring. You might even see a few flares along the highway. But yeah, a lot of industrial processes create these spikes. These aren't traffic-related spikes, just because they're so high. So that's the hour-to-hour VOC levels. And again, this is the time analysis. And you can see a lot of that happens in the flaring, especially happens in the nighttime. That's usually if you're driving late at night, you usually see a lot of flares. And that's when we see the levels at the highest, around like 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. And during the freeze as well, that's when a lot of flaring took place during the nighttime. So that's the third one, and this is the last pollutant. This is particulate matter. And this basically means dust, dirt, soot, smoke, anything that's any type of particles in the air that are very, very small. So if you look at a grain of salt, and if a grain of salt was that big, that's how big particulate matter would be. It's super, super tiny, basically invisible to the naked eye. But just because it's invisible doesn't mean you can't breathe it in and it doesn't have impacts. This is just a visualization to see how small it is. And it's because it's so small that it's so dangerous, because when we breathe it in, it can get really deep into our lungs, and even into the bloodstream as well. So that's basically what particulate matter is. And we have the most data for particulate matter just because we have so many monitors across Pasadena, 7 monitors. So you see a lot of colors in the next slide, but that's basically every different monitor has a different color. This is just, again, covering what I was describing, PMS, tiny particles in the air released by company batch plants, industries, fires, or unpaved roads. Covered this. So yeah, this is our PM data. Lots of different colors, like I was saying, but every color is a different monitor, and you can see that they're all very, pretty much in agreement. You don't see a big difference between any two particular monitors, and that's good. That means like the monitors are, they're working and they're in agreement. So this is good in the sense of like we have good data. It's bad in the sense of the levels are above the EPA standard for the long term. In the short term, we don't have that many peaks above the daily standard, but then when you go to the yearly standard, that's when you see levels above the EPA, and that's basically long-term pollution. So short-term, day-to-day, you don't have a lot of issues, but the real issue in Pasadena is the long-term pollution. And since we've had monitors for such a long time, we can track, year to year, how the levels are either increasing or decreasing. So you can see in 2022, we had quite a few months that were below the standard, which was good. But then when you go to 23 and 24, you basically have no months below the EPA standard, which is a little concerning. And into 2025 as well. So it's not like a big jump, but you can definitely still see the levels are increasing year to year. Yes, this is the times around which we see. So you have 2 different types of PM, and that's basically the size. Larger particles are PM10, smaller ones are 2.5. But they basically have the same pattern. Usually highest in the nighttime, increasing about at 7 p.m. and going all the way to 7 a.m. And that can be, again, there's 2 reasons, but primarily because of vehicular activity, but also industrial activity. You see that the 2 peaks again during the morning and evening rush hour, but you also see this high level throughout the night, and that's usually because of flaring and other industrial activity that happens during the night. The levels are lowest actually, ironically, in the afternoon when you don't have a lot of cars on the street, and usually a lot of flaring doesn't happen during the daytime, it's usually during the night, which is why you see that sort of lower level in the afternoon. Okay, so I know I threw a lot of information at you, so I have a sort of review slide that just summarizes everything I covered. So again, 4 different types of pollution: nitrogen dioxide, VOCs, ozone, particulate matter. For NO2, we saw that the levels were kind of similar one-to-one, and you have that early morning and early evening peak. For VOCs, we saw higher levels in January and February because of the flaring during the freeze. A lot of that flaring happened in the early morning time, which is why we had a lot of those trends. For ozone, we saw the levels increasing as the summer approaches, just because you need a lot of heat and sunlight to create ozone. And the long term is that it's stable, but the summer months are over the EPA standard. And then forgot to cover for NO2, even though it's below the EPA standard, the levels are higher in 2024 compared to 2022. So it's increasing over the years. And the same thing is for particulate matter as well. As you saw in that graph, every single year that we've had the monitors out, it's been higher than the previous year, which is not a good sign. But I will say that Pasadena is kind of in line with a lot of other communities as well, because every single community that
So, anybody have any questions, guys? I know this is a lot of technical stuff that you might not understand, but I mean, all this stuff is in the air. All this stuff is hazardous. Too much of this stuff that goes into your bodies will put you in a very bad situation. If you guys know the cancer rates, especially in this area, in Galena Park, Pasadena, all up and down Chip Channel, they're very high. The asthma rates are very high. The blood cancer rates in the areas are also very high. So this is all stuff that's here. And you might not get anything bad happen to you from a little bit of exposure, but after so many years of living in this area, eventually this stuff will catch up to you, okay? I always tell the story about the health issues that I'm dealing with, and anybody here can deal with that, and it's something that you guys need to be very cautious and be able to know what's going on in your neighborhoods. Now, does anybody have any questions concerning the chemicals? Everybody was cool with that? Yes, ma'am.
I was told that from someone that works in the industry that they try to flare at night because that we're not able to see what's coming out on top. If it's white, it's supposed to be okay, but if it's black or brown, that means that there's a chemical being released in the air.
Yeah, no, that's correct. I mean, the flares that you see, depending on what color the smoke is coming out, it will tell you if it's hazardous or what it is. For example, if you ever see a flare and it's coming out yellow, with a yellow smoke, that means there's sulfur coming off that thing, which is very, very hazardous. Sometimes if it's flaring and it's like a dirty color like black smoke, that's also that's a particular matter going into the air that you can breathe in. So depending on what color smoke you see will let you know how polluted that flare is coming out. In some cases you'll just see the fire and you won't see no smoke. Well, that's a clean burn, you know. And if you see white coming out of it, a lot of times that's like steam is going into it, so that's not as hazardous. So depending on what the color of the flare is, will kind of give you an indication if it's hazardous or not.
But they're saying that they have to flare, that they can't control that they have to flare, because if they don't, they can have an explosion in the plant.
Depending on what the situation is, yeah. I mean, sometimes the reason they flare is because they have to burn some product off, and it's essentially they burn it off, so they have to do it. If you guys ever notice when it rains and the lights go out, you'll notice how they start flaring right away because they lose power. I mean, they have backup generators and to keep them going, but sometimes when they lose that, they have to like get rid of product, so they have to flare. If you guys notice when the hurricanes hit, tornadoes hit in the area, you see everything lit up here very, very brightly because they're trying to burn that off. In some cases, when the hurricanes are coming, they'll shut down the plants, and while they shut them down, like he was showing you earlier, it just spikes up very, very high. Whenever a refinery has to shut down or start back up, those are some of the worst times because they're emitting a lot of pollution in the air as they restart. I mean, like turn it on, turn it off. That's during the worst time that can happen, especially during the storms. If you guys are interested, there is a training that we can do to teach you what the different colors of flares mean. If you guys are interested in doing this, just let us know. We can try to. If you have your contact information, we can like give you a short training and teach y'all what the different colors and what flaring means, so you guys have a better idea. So we can do that as well. Somebody else have another question? Yes, sir.
My understanding you do monitoring only, right?
We're doing air monitoring in the area, and we're gathering data. At the same time, we also do community work. For example, there's a permit hearing coming up here in Pasadena. It's coming up on, I think, May 6th. Lyondell-Basell, which is located right here off of, 225 and, what is that street crossroad there? 225 in Alameda. 225 in Alameda area. That company right there, now this is the one you got to keep an eye on, guys, because supposedly they have shut down Lyondell-Basell. But if you look at it, they're still flaring. I live in Galena Park. I can see the flares every night. They're still on. But the problem is, what we know is they're going to repurpose that company. We know that. They're going to turn it into something different. The game plan is they're going to turn it into a chemical recycler. And which in a way is good because it's going to get rid of some of the pollution we've been experiencing in Galena Park and in Pasadena. You know, to get rid of some of the PM, some of the big VOCs in the area. But at the same time, when they turn this into a plastic recycler, there's going to be new problems, new chemicals going in the air. So you guys are trading one thing for another. And the thing about Lyondell-Basell is they're being very quiet about it. I've seen them out here, and I try to corner them, like, hey, are you guys going to change it? And they just walk away from me because they don't want to talk about it. They're trying to be sneaky about it and not let people know. This permit hearing coming up on May 6th, it's like they're trying to get their permit again. But our question is, if you're closed down your company, why do you want that permit? Why don't you just come up with it and tell us, hey, guess what, we're going to change this up to something else, but they don't want to tell us. I don't get it. I don't know why they're being so secretive about it, but that is some of the things we do. We do air monitoring in the area. We educate people on pollution, but we also go door to door, let people know about the permits, because at those permit hearings, that's when you can actually go and let them hear you on how concerned you are about their issues that are going on. We're trying to get together. The other thing we do with this data is we talk to Harris County, we talk to TCEQ, we talk to all these other organizations, bigger regulatory, I guess like organizations or government arms that can help us in trying to get these companies to comply. Because look, I mean, let's be realistic, guys. I'm always realistic. It's not like we're going to go shut down these companies. These companies are here. It's not like we're going to go and tell Exxon close down your operations or Shell close down your operations. They're not going to do that, all right? They're a $1 billion company. They're going to outlast us any day because that's what they do. All we're asking as an organization is for them to clean up their act. There are rules in place for them to keep their emissions to a standard. You know, I get tired of hearing these people always say, oh, we're following minimum standards. We're following the minimum standards. That's great. That's minimum. They're doing the very absolute minimum to try to take care of us. And I always tell them, hey, you're a $1 billion company. Why don't you do the maximum? You know, why don't you go off a little bit more in your regulatory and protect the communities? Yes, sir.
Now, you find a problem
Yes, sir.
somewhere, and you report this problem to the proper authorities.
We try to get up. You guys are in Pasadena, so in this area we would talk to Harris County Pollution Control because they have air monitors that are worth a lot more than ours. Our air monitors, the small ones are worth about $250, the purple airs. Our bigger monitors, the Sensit, those are about $6,000, $7,000 each. But those guys have the ones that are worth $500,000 to $1 million pieces of equipment that we don't have. And so we try to bring them in to help us bring in their professional equipment. So that way, if we do need to do a lawsuit, if these companies are going to ignore us and just blow us off and not even talk to us, well, at that point, we need to get their attention. And some of the ways to get their attention, like, okay, fine. I mean, sorry guys, I'm 47 years old, I'm on the old school. Let's go out there and protest and stand in front of their business and tell them what's up. But the other thing that is trying to get a lawsuit, you know, collect this data, because in the past, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I would call TCEQ, hey man, I got a problem over here. They would show up, you know, 5-6 hours later, or they would show up 2 or 3 days later. By the time they show up, the smoke was gone. And it was like my word against yours. And then now that we have these monitors, now we can actually say, hey, guess what? Forget you. We have our own scientific data. Here it is. We got something to stand on. We didn't used to have that. And we're trying to change it. I mean, one of my plans that I'm trying my best to do, hopefully within a year or less, I'm trying to get these canisters that will be attached to these air monitors. Then next time there's a smell, like say I gave you one here, here's a canister, take it home. You take one home. And if you smell something, all you gotta do is push this lever and it will suck a sample into this container. You close it, that air sample's in this container. Then once we get that, I can send that to a laboratory and they will go straight up into telling you exactly what it is. At that point, you know, once I know it's butadiene, once I know it's benzene, I can look at the wind direction and I can be like, hey, guess what? That's coming out of Lyondell-Basell. Hey, guess what? That's coming from Chevron, and I know it's them. You know what I'm saying? That's to the next level we're trying to get to. The problem is it's expensive. Those cans are $500 each, and they're only good for about a month because the vacuum eventually goes bad. So, and then the other piece to it is, up to this point, I've gone to like 6-7 different laboratories around this area, and they've all told me no, they don't want to work with us. And the reason they don't want to work with us is because these refineries work with them, and they make more money off of them than they will ever make money off of us. So I'm currently looking at some other laboratories outside of Houston to help us do this. So we're trying to get to that next point, but for us to get to that next point, we need y'all help, because eventually you guys live near these places, and we need people to volunteer to help us get these samples to try to help out.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
Do you collect information or data on the impact on the people, sickness,
we're currently, we work with, there's other organizations such as UT Health, Baylor College of Medicine. They all do different studies to see exactly what are the asthma rates, what are the blood cancer rates. So all that stuff is public information. I don't have it here with me today, but I can send you a slideshow that shows what the stats are. It'll show you how the life expectancy in Pasadena, Galena Park is like way lower than what the life expectancy is in Katy or Down Memorial compared to what it is here on the east side. And it's very low. It's sad, guys, that we live in a time that depending on what zip code you live in, what your life expectancy is, and that's the reality of it.
So how do you feel about the future?
Well, about the future, we are entering, it's going to be an interesting next 3 years because there's a lot of cuts that are going on to government agencies. The EPA is a federal agency. Texas, we got TCEQ, and then here at the county, we got Harris County. You live in Houston, you got the city of Houston. All those have their own different pollution control. The EPA, I'm not expecting much out of them in the next 3 years because they're being cut as we speak. TCEQ, Texas, is a very pro-industry state, and they tend to give the favors to the industry. So we're battling a hard situation there. Now, I will say the county in the last couple of years has gotten really, really better. They've actually bought monitors and they're enforcing, giving out tickets. So there's some work going on a local level, and I'm thinking in the next couple of years, at least for the next 3 or 4 years, we're going to have to rely on Harris County. We're going to have to rely on the city of Pasadena, city of Houston, and rely on you guys. You guys are the residents. You're the ones that live here, and you guys can put pressure on these local politicians in your area to try to get them to put pressure on them to clean up their act a little bit. And like I said, we're not telling them to close down. We're telling them to clean up your act. At least give us a chance. It gets me mad every time I see a flare and I go tell them, hey, you guys were flaring yesterday? No, we weren't. I'm like, I was looking at it. I got pictures on my phone. How are you going to sit there and tell me it didn't happen? Really, it's like they want us. They always tell me, trust us. And I'm like, okay, I want to trust y'all. But it's kind of hard to trust y'all when you guys try to hide this stuff from me when you guys are right there. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
So, our game plan, guys, really, in the next couple of years is to put more pressure directly on the company. We're neighbors. Why can't I go to Chevron and say, hey, man, you guys have been, it's been smelling really bad the last couple of days. Tell us what's going on. How can you bring that down? They can do it. There's people who live in Baytown and Exxon that are going to do the same thing, and they try to do that, trying to calm it down and try to get ahead of the game. But the thing is, be transparent, let us know what's going on, give us, the residents, a chance.
Say one more.
Yes, sir.
Now, your tools, the tools you use to measure, do just they measure only or they do suggest something, the machine itself?
Like what's it do?
Somebody, the machine will report to you there is a bad area.
Yeah.
Does the machine do anything to reduce it?
No, it's just an air monitor. It's just reading data. No, like for us, for example, looking at this right now, you see that yellow spot right there, right? That's one monitor. It's moderate. It's color coded, guys. If it's green, the air quality is good. You can go outdoors. You got nothing to worry about. It's from 0 to 50. If it's yellow, it's getting moderate. It's starting to get bad, but it's not there yet. If it gets to orange or to red, the air quality is getting bad. And if you have asthma or anything like that, you don't want to be outdoors for that. If it ever gets to purple, guys, or like crimson, you don't want to be outdoors, guys. That's like, you don't want to be outdoors. If you're outdoors for that, you're literally inhaling straight up chemicals into your body. So if you ever see those colors, you don't want to be outdoors. Okay? Now look, I'm going to give you this, guys. This is a postcard. It has a QR code on it. You can just get your phone, put it over it, and then click on it, and it'll bring you up to this. So that way, if you guys live here in Pasadena, you guys can click on this and actually take a look at what your air quality is in real time. So this is the dashboard, and the cool thing about this dashboard, on the very top, you can click Pasadena, and it'll give you just for Pasadena, so you know what's going on in this area. Yes, sir.
So who issues the permits? Who issues the permits?
TCEQ.